Hello and welcome to another developer live stream. I'm Rachel Sema, senior producer here at Firaxis Games, and I am joined by Michael Cody, producer here at Firaxis, and Joe Weinhofer, lead designer on Marvel's Midnight Suns.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
I think it is safe to say that today it is live streaming time.
Yeah. It is time.
So last developer live stream we looked at Venom. Do you want to give a little bit of a recap about Venom and Eddie and what we looked at?
Yeah, so the Midnight Suns season pass is live and ongoing. We're continuing to release new heroes and add them to the roster for Midnight Suns. We've released Deadpool, Venom, and Morbius is already live and playable in the game today. You can access them right now. So yeah, last time we had a great conversation with Ben Reeves about kind of writing Eddie Brock and Venom, integrating them in our story. Looked at Venom's very ravenous gameplay. He starts off really strong at the beginning of every mission, has a huge damage boost, and then how do you kind of manage his appetite over the course of combat. So we had a couple great missions with him. It was really fun to look at. May see him again a bit later in this mission. But yeah, today we're really excited to talk about Morbius, the living vampire.
That's right.
Who's the most recent addition to our Midnight Suns roster.
Yeah, and I think we've got a video, an intro on Morbius that we can play right now.
Yep. Let's take a look.
Morbius. Blade.
You've met? Gotta admit, I've never seen a vampire feed on another vampire.
I felt it. One time. I bit you one time. It wasn't fun for me either. You taste like an old barbell.
There's a cat fight joke in here somewhere, but I can't figure it out. Look, Dr. Morbius, we need your help. Someone is turning Hydra troopers into vampires. We don't know why or what they want.
According to the creature I just ate, they're after my research. I can tarry no longer. I must return to my lab before they... You're going nowhere.
Don't have a hissy fit. It was right in front of me. Maybe we can help each other out. So, where is his lab?
You get used to the stench. I never do.
Wait, where? You were right, Doc. We shouldn't have tarried.
So there he is, the living vampire himself.
A little bit of tension there between Morbius and Blade. I think they've certainly got some history. Poor Spidey getting dragged along for the ride there, but lots of vampire action with Morbius joining the roster and kind of going on his kind of story arc and missions in the game. So very exciting to see the intro to that. I think Morbius is a little thirsty there at the beginning.
Yeah.
But we'll see how he takes care of those Hydra guys and the vampires. So.
Yeah.
I will say, at least he didn't hit Spider-Man like he usually does always in their first encounter.
Yeah, that's true. They definitely have a history.
Yeah.
We could definitely go into a bit more of the comics background material there in a bit. Should we jump into gameplay?
Yeah, so a couple things before we jump in.
Okay.
I just wanted to highlight that really exciting news. Our announced trailer got nominated for a Webby.
Yeah.
So
super exciting.
Yeah, I think we have the information we can throw up on screen there, but please go over and take a look and see if you can. I think you can still vote.
You can still vote. Yep.
For our trailer. So we would love and really appreciate if you
I
can
think
do
that was specifically our the Darkness Falls trailer.
That's
I think
right.
it has
The
Fallen
initial
Hulk
one.
shows up at the end.
Yeah.
You see all the villains appear. So very exciting. We're really proud of how that came together. So super excited to be nominated.
Yeah, go vote.
Yeah, and then also we're going to be doing a Twitter poll, I believe, for voting on who we're going to use in our second mission today. So I think the options are, remind me, Joe, Ghost Rider.
Yep, so we're setting up a themed original Midnight Suns, so S-O-N-U-N, oh, God, I can spell S-O-N-S compared to S-U-N-S. So we have so we're taking Morbius and Blade on that mission. That we'll do second here, but you can vote to either bring Venom, Ghost Rider, or Doctor Strange on that mission with us. So they were all part of the initial Midnight Suns run. So pick the character you want to see the most, teaming up with Morbius and Blade, and that will be for our second mission, which we'll get to in a bit.
Yeah, and that will be a poll on YouTube. So go and check that out.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we should go ahead and jump into
Dive in.
gameplay. And why don't you give us a little bit of background?
Yeah, so Morbius is, when we're kind of looking at designing him, he is probably the most accessible hero out of the DLC characters. So all of them are definitely a little bit more complex than the heroes in the base game, some more than others, and Morbius is probably the simplest to pick up. His mechanic is very similar to Captain Marvel's. So she has her kind of binary meter where you can play a bunch of Captain Marvel cards and it fills up and then she goes into this, overpowered state. Morbius has something very similar, but he, of course, as a vampire, has a hunger meter. So as you play his abilities, he fills up his hunger meter and then he can go into a bloodlust state that applies bleeding to all of his. And that pairs very, very well with his own abilities, since a lot of them, similar Claw is one of his common attacks, deals more damage if the target has bleeding. So if you get Morbius to that bloodlust state, he starts applying bleed to everything, and then his abilities become even stronger. So of course you can imagine he pairs very, very well with Blade, who also, as a dampier half vampire, applies bleeding with a lot of his attacks. So they really pair up well together. We'll see some of that synergy in a bit. So also on this mission, this is just kind of a vampire sweep. So we like starting, the vampires are our new enemy set that we're introducing with the season pass. So of course you want to see vampire on vampire action here. We've got the living vampire going up against our new breed vampires.
Vampire with a Y.
Vampires with a Y, yeah. So we made it confusing just to be fun. So we've also got our hunter here. So of course the hunter is our player character. And we brought back Mr. Poole. So we've got Wade Wilson here. Deadpool's hanging out, helping us with this mission as well. So we'll get started here. I think I'm going to start off, I'll just show off Morbius' attack here really quick. So this is Claw. It's not going to do the extra damage since we haven't had time to apply bleed to anything yet. But we'll take a look at some of his ability visualizations here to kick us off. So that is Claw, and I think we had a combat bonus, so we started with some heroism, but let's get Shadow Strike going as well, so we can take out a couple more of these minions.
So as always, Joe, people want to know, what inspired Morbius's ability?
Yeah, so Morbius's kind of ability design, we similar to what we did with Venom, where we kind of put echoes of Spider-Man's ability set into Venom, since they kind of shared the symbiote suit at one point, and there's definitely kind of a connection there. Morbius, as a living vampire, has a lot of thematic similarities to Blade, who is a half vampire, so not fully all the way there. But a lot of Morbius' visualization use that similar, very, very quick, sudden movements and dashes, a lot of fangs, a lot of claws, a lot of teeth. So that is kind of the inspiration that we took for a lot of his, for putting a lot of his abilities together. All right, let's see.
I would say Morbius is also kind of a half vampire as well too. He has.
It's true. He's not a full blood vampire. So yeah, do you want to kind of give some of his backstory?
I mean, like one of the big things too. I mean, like he's a product of science.
Right.
Because he's trying to cure himself. But the cool thing too is he doesn't have that problem with sunlight like other vampires do.
Okay.
Like even though it irritates him, it's not going to kill him.
Right.
So
right. Yes. Clearly, this is a daytime-ish, dusky mission.
Dusty
here.
mission. Yeah.
Seems like he's doing all.
That's a good word. I never used that before. Dusky. Oh, you said dusky. Okay, I thought you said dusty.
Oh, the dusty.
It could be dusty too. In
the
southwest.
Southwest gets a little sandy there. We all know we love sand.
Now, Joe, Morbius has been live for a few weeks.
Yes.
So
yes,
folks have gotten a chance to get their hands on him and play him in game, and I think there'll probably be some questions from people around that.
Sure.
We did get a question about tips to maximize his bloodlust abilities.
So the best thing that you can do for Morbius to maximize his bloodlust is to become best friends with him, because his passive abilities are incredibly strong. Probably some of the strongest, just like straight power boosts that we have in the game, because both of his passives, his tier 1 and tier 2 passives, directly affect his bloodlust. So we can see right now I had 2 Morbius abilities, so I'm at 2 out of 3. Requires 3 cards to play, and then when you go into the bloodlust state, which I'll get to probably on the next turn, Morbius will apply 1 bleeding with all of his damage abilities and counterattacks when you are in the bloodlust state. The tier 1 of his passive reduces the number of abilities you need to play from 3 down to only 2. so you can get to the bloodless state much faster. And then the second tier of his ability makes it apply 2 bleeding instead of only 1 bleeding. So it really makes the bleed stick around for that much longer, makes it easier to capitalize on the bonus effects of a lot of his additional abilities. So yeah, that is definitely the optimum. The way to get Bloodlust to its kind of optimal performance mode is just hang out with your living vampire friend and be his buddy. So,
Interesting hangout session.
Yes, it is. It is, and I think we can definitely get more into the hangouts with him a little bit later. I think we might have one of our writer friends join us again to talk about the narrative behind Morbius, which will be fun because it's very interesting, fun to see him in the Abbey, especially fitting into like the science culture. We kind of put him in the Forge a lot with Doctor Strange and Tony Stark. They have a pretty fun relationship, so we will get into all of that.
It's good space for him.
All right, let's see. Try it. Oh, just out of range here.
It's always the worst.
Let's see. Yeah, let's see. I can still
do that.
Take this down. All right. So I'm not doing too bad here.
Joe, would you say that any of the DLC Season Pass characters that are out now have a good, symbiosis between them gameplay-wise?
Sure. I think, but we were very intentional in designing the abilities for Deadpool and Venom and Morbius and Storm is our 4th DLC hero, her mechanic as well. They're all not necessarily complementary, but they are not meant to be antagonistic with one another. So they can all work together in a pretty compatible way. So each hero is not necessarily going to like capitalize or cannibalize the mechanics of others. So for example, in the base game, Ghost Rider is a hero that really relies on getting a lot of KOs. And Deadpool is very similar. It's like Deadpool, you really want to be getting a lot of KOs with him in order to max out his Infuego. So Ghost Rider and Deadpool have a lot of tension between them. And that was something where actually initially Venom's Ravenous mechanic worked in a similar way where he gained his offense boost by getting KOs. And that fought way too much with Deadpool and with Ghost Rider, and that was kind of we switched it and iterated on it and reworked it to be much more similar to what you know of today as his Ravenous mechanic. But since Morbius is very kind of self-sustaining, where if you're playing his abilities, you're generating, filling up his hunger meter and getting to that bloodlust state, that all works very well alongside both Deadpool and Morbius, or Deadpool and Venom, which is great. So,
awesome.
All right, let's see here.
How are you doing in this mission, Joe?
I think it's going okay. I am trying to focus on answering questions and also play at the same time. Seems like it's fine. So I know someone's going to ask. This is on Heroic 1, so we will be scaling up the difficulty as we go throughout the live stream today. Okay, perfect. This will be useful.
Cool. And here, I'll ask a question to you, Cody. Any chance you know what outfit, the name of the outfit that Hunter is wearing right now?
That is
come back on screen.
It looks like the superhero.
I don't think so. I just did this customization yesterday. I think it is actually the high-tech suit.
That's it. That's what
I think it is
okay.
a high-tech
yeah,
suit.
superhero has one
with
that is a high-tech, different color palette.
Yeah, but with the crimson, the blood red palette.
Okay. Yeah.
So of course we are all vampire themed today. So I spend far too much time customizing the looks for the heroes on these missions. So please pay attention to them.
Yeah,
Tell
I
me
do like
how great
that they're always
how great I did.
They're always on theme. I think that's good.
Absolutely. Gotta have themed customizations. All right.
Yeah.
So this is something interesting. So Morbius, similar to another hero that we have in the base game, we had an interesting problem with our friend Wolverine of not really having a ranged attack or a ranged ability. So Wolverine, you may remember, and Hulk also kind of reaches into the ground and like throws dirt and rocks and stuff at people. So Morbius has a similar problem where it's like he doesn't really have a ranged attack. Well, he's a vampire, so we kind of gave him one, and he's got these like echolocation bursts. So that is what he ends up doing for his ranged attack, which very cool. Kind of ties in thematically with his vampiric nature. Ends up working out pretty well. Let's see if we can get another Morbius card here and actually go into Bloodlust. All right, perfect. Quick Claw. This is great. All right, so let's take out this vampire. Got a nice quick zippy vampire movement there. And now, all right, well, we're gonna get reinforcements first, but we can go into Bloodlust. Okay, cool. Hemolisks are spawning all of their little vampire babies and then going away. All right, so this is Bloodlust. So the hunger meter is filled. Got it nice and shiny there in the bottom left corner. So now when I play this, Morbius will gain Bloodlust, which adds, a bleed application to all of his abilities, and a bunch of block. You can play it for free. So he's just getting hungry. We've got like a weird hunger theme with the DLC here. He's got Venom is very ravenous. Morbius just has his hunger.
And Deadpool likes tacos and chimichangas. So still hungry.
Absolutely. All right, so we've just got 3 vampire minions here to clean up. Let's see if we can take them out.
And Joe, you were saying that Morbius's Bloodlust ability works pretty similarly to Captain America's, Captain Marvel's binary.
Yes. So it gives, there is an elite over here. So it gives Morbius a bunch of block when you play it, and he will stay in the Bloodlust state until that block is removed or reduced. So very important to protect Morbius. You want to pair him with heroes who can taunt or have healing abilities or can conceal him. Morbius has a couple skills that help him with that. He has an ability called Mist Form that gives him concealed, which is great for self-protection. But he definitely, similar to Captain Marvel, once you get her into the binary state, you want to protect her so that she stays in binary for as long as possible. Morbius is very similar. All right, so we've got a couple. So this is interesting. So I've got a Vampire Bite on this Quick Claw card, so I'm going to gain 1 bleed, but also still apply 1 bleed because of Bloodlust. So we'll see if this works out. Hopefully none of the vampires react to the blood frenzy. All right, and let's
roll.
I think we're good.
Yeah,
okay,
nice.
We're good. All right, so let's check out a Morbius combo. So his combo attack also gains Bloodlust, so we'll use this to take out his last elite vampire. Oh, look at those fangs.
I love these combos so much. They're so cool. We did get a question on Twitch from Lives in Snake Mountain. Are there any differences between how you imagined Morbius working in the game versus his final iteration?
So, not many actually. So Deadpool we reworked a lot. Venom we did a lot of rework on. Morbius came into being pretty much as designed. So of course, like there are tweaks to some of his abilities. We had one of his default skill, which actually didn't come up in that mission, is called Charm, and it's kind of a mind control ability. And it lets you target a minion, and they will then attack another random enemy. So kind of similar to Hunter's Mindbender from the base game. That ability used to be pretty restrictive, where you could only target minions who were targeting Morbius, and it was very, very difficult to use, especially for a common skill.
Yeah.
So we definitely we've loosened that restriction, changed around a couple of his other abilities to make sure that they were just be as fun as possible. But his core mechanic of the Bloodlust meter and filling that up and then getting into the state where he applies bleed with all of his abilities, that was the initial design. So
very cool.
Yeah. So do you want to, Cody, do you want to fill us in on exactly how did Morbius become a living vampire?
And while you do that, we'll find out who was the winner of the poll.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Go ahead.
That's just important. So Morbius had a kind of terminal disease growing up. And of course, he had a friend who also had disease as well too. Anyway, Michael Morbius, being the person that he is, was very involved in science. Eventually figures out that there's possibly a way to kind of cure himself. So of course, like most people know, he goes
experiment on himself.
Yeah, well,
no one else is going to volunteer.
He was experimenting on, small animals and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you have to exactly. You need that. So he decides to use something that seemed to be possibly close to 100% on himself. Worked for a bit, but then he finds out later that he goes into this uncontrollable bloodlust, and he was blanking out and pretty much, taking life force. I'm gonna say taking life force without knowing it. But then when he realizes what he was doing, he's now trying to find a cure for this unsatisfiable hunger
Condition.
Right. And in turn, it just got worse and worse. But interestingly enough, reading some of the material that I've read, sometimes when he's gotten some of Spider-Man's blood, it seems to work way better than anything else. But he has a deal with Spider-Man.
For like satisfying his
but
lust.
Spider-Man's not about it, even though Spider-Man's
yeah.
also
imagine
nobody
not.
is.
Yeah.
Nobody is. So the thing is, whenever they interact with each other, Spider-Man's very appreciative when he's in a
afraid he's
in a
Morbius
hunger
is gonna
state.
take
Yeah,
a bite out of
exactly.
him.
But it's cool. I think it's really cool. And then we have Blade in there as well too. And Blade just has a total disdain for any sort of vampire. So that's where you get these two clashing. But I'm sure Ben will also talk about how it works in our game. Right. But it's a very interesting combination. We have two vampires from the universe, and they kind of have their own little story. But
And you're going mushroom picking with
Yeah,
Dr.
so I
Morbius?
didn't notice that it was mushrooms. I decided I wanted to take him to the misty moor, or the moist moor. I was like, all right, that feels appropriate.
It's misty.
But yeah, so now we're out with the good doctor picking mushrooms.
Look at that
So
lab coat.
he was a sickly child. And get a little bit of his backstory here on this one-on-one hangout time. Let's see.
And we did find out that Venom was the winner of the poll. So
Okay,
he'll be
great.
joining us for this next mission.
Fantastic.
Mr. Eddie Brock.
What I was waiting for.
That's the one you wanted?
No, not necessarily. It's just, I made my vote subtly with my t-shirt.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah, there you go.
it's fine. I did customize all of them, so I can at least show off the outfits.
I don't think even my memories of you can
Doctor, do you ever think about having kids yourself?
There's
These are
more
spicy
percent.
questions.
Yeah. Oh, I just completed
Ben's
this.
gonna have to explain
I just
himself when he
completed.
gets
All
here.
right, let's see. I feel the same.
I also would not want my spawn to be in
That's a fair question.
Yeah, it
You
is.
wouldn't want to pass on the blood disease. Maybe not the
It would
vampirism,
probably
but
be
the
cute little
actual
spawn,
blood condition that he has. All right. Ooh, luxury bites snack box.
That sounds.
appropriate.
Yeah, exactly.
Or this
Can he eat that, though?
Metaphile
sure.
snack
Yeah?
box.
Okay.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, no, he can eat. He can eat regular food. It's just to.
I really need
Right. Fantastic. All right.
All right.
A lot of friendship XP.
Jump in.
Yeah.
So we will dive into our second mission here. Let's see. Okay. So this one, right, this is Blade. All right, we're going on a Blade mission, defeating some turned Hydra, which we'll talk about when you dive in. I don't know if we feature them on the live stream or not, but all right, so of course we're taking Morbius, and then I'll just to show them off. I got my original Midnight Suns customizations here. So got Doctor
Nice.
Strange in his Defender skin. Went with the Danny Ketch-esque skin for
Spikes
Ghost
and
Rider.
chains.
And Spidey was in there. I threw that on him for kicks. And of course now we've got Venom kind of in the...
That's a nice. I like that.
So that is our anti-Venom skin.
Yep.
And he's got kind of a Carnage
Look
palette
to it.
on. So let's go. Oh, yep, there's Eddie.
Yeah, there's Eddie.
Rocking his gym
Platinum gym.
top there. All right, so this mission is against turned Hydra, and this is kind of a subset of Hydra enemies that we also added with the season pass, where we kind of mentioned very early on in the Deadpool's missions, we revealed that Sin, the granddaughter of the Red Skull, is leading this kind of occult sect of Hydra that is very into vampirism. And we now have these kind of zombie-like vampire turned Hydra enemies to fight against. And they have some interesting mechanics in addition to, or in replacement of their abilities from the regular versions of these Hydra, where they can apply bleeding with their attacks. The elite guys have a chance to become vampires when they are KO'd, and the Hydra Mystics have a chance to turn other enemies into hemolisks, so do kind of a weird blood vampiric conversion. So they can be kind of terrifying to fight alongside vampires, since whenever the Hydra attack, if they apply bleeding to you, that can trigger all of the other vampires into their frenzy. So we'll just make sure we take care of them nice and quickly, go for an easy
Yeah.
easy sweep here.
Yeah.
Easy,
Sounds like-
easy, right?
Yeah,
No
well,
problem.
I was gonna say, we'll
Lots
see
of
how it
micromanaging that happen
goes.
here.
But yeah, first point of order will definitely be get Morbius into his bloodlust state. And I think this is actually one of Morbius's extra tactical suits that we have in the game. That is his original Midnight Suns outfit. So I did put a red palette on it. The default is black and purple.
Yep.
But of course, for this mission, wanted to make sure that he was looking good. All right, let's see.
And you were saying, Joe, that you think Blade and Morbius go really well together in combat, right?
Blade and Morbius pair extremely well together since Blade and Morbius both have abilities which can generate a lot of bleeding on enemies and then capitalize on it by dealing additional damage to bleeding enemies. So we don't have Make 'em Bleed in our hand right now, but we will
Soon.
Yeah, we should soon. And then we will use that to start spreading the love with our bleed on enemies. All right, so taking out some minions here. Let's wrap up this turn. Oh, no, I've got 2 card plays, so I can do some damage. Let's see, I'll take...
We did get a question on YouTube from King Greek. Would you say Morbius's effect truly makes him one of the strongest characters in the entire roster, and why?
Ooh. So, Morbius is probably not the strongest character in isolation. I think if you pair him with Blade and run them together as a duo, especially if you have a lot of their cards modified to apply a lot of additional bleed or chance for bleed on enemies, or if you run them with other heroes that have a lot of bleeding, then absolutely, like the two of them together are can be a really, really terrifying and powerful duo. But yeah, in isolation, Morbius can certainly be strong. You get him in Bloodlust, and you can if you can sustain him over multiple turns, some of his skill cards, I think, are some of the strongest in the game. He's got a great self-protection ability that gives him Concealed. He has a great additional skill that gives him Resist and Counter, which is fantastic. So he definitely has a lot of really, really powerful abilities that he can fit pretty easily into any squad of heroes.
Yeah. And it's interesting that he goes so well with Blade because, Ben can speak more to this later, but they do not have the greatest relationship in our
That's
game.
true, yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very antagonistic. They've had a lot of contention in their relationship over these. We saw in that cinematic,
Yeah.
very aggressive.
Came at him with the sword right off the rip.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, I think we are about set for this turn. I used my move. Trying to make sure I use all my resources. So this mission is on Heroic 3.
Okay.
So a little bit more challenging, but I think we are doing all right. We'll see what this Hydra Mystic does. Sorry, not Hydra Mystic, Turned Mystic does. They can be pretty dangerous if they start turning other enemies into Hemolisks. Then you just start spawning a lot of vampires. Oh, yep, here we go.
There we go.
Yep, there we go. So she's just gonna
See you later.
turn this. So it's like one less guy to deal with, but now we've got Hemolisks and reinforcements. So
That's really quite an
Okay.
ability to just, point at one of your allies and
just
be
be like, hey,
"Yeah."
you are a vampire
It happens.
egg sack.
It happens.
man."
It happens a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. A normal day at the
Shouldn't be
office.
surprised.
for
Yeah,
Hydra.
exactly. Shouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised by
Right.
it.
So this is one of so this is one of the Morbius abilities that I was just mentioning. Cornered gives him counter and resist, so very powerful as a skill. All right, let's see here. Let's try to take out some of these Hydra guys. All right, let's not do that because Morbius is standing
Blow
right
up our
there.
team.
Let's move Morbius first.
I was gonna say that's a very also fitting name for an ability of his, because usually that's
Cornered?
what happens to him a lot. Like
He
he gets
ends
chased
up getting
down
cornered?
and gets cornered, and then that's
Oh.
when he fights back and
Oh, like putting him, putting him in a corner,
put him in
and
a
then
corner.
he.
So yeah, it's kind
Okay.
of nice that it's called
Yeah.
that, and it gives you counter.
Right. All right. So now, all right. I still want to move. I just used my move. Let's see.
And it is great that through the choice of the viewers that we are seeing every season pass character that's live right now. And
That's
in
true.
this
That's
live
a
stream.
great point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Deadpool was just kind of a happy accident. He ended up leading the mission that we did first today.
Yeah.
But all right. So let's.
Good on you, folks.
Good choice, friends. So yep. So you get to see some Venom gameplay, and there's some little bit of advanced Venom gameplay, which is exciting. So, all right. So we lost our Ravenous there. We can get that back with Insatiable Hunger. Still love his tongue. It's gross, but makes Venom who he is. All right, so we've got enough heroism now for Morbius to chain a little bit. It looks like we did lose our Bloodlust state from getting hit earlier, but this is pretty good. Okay, so yeah, Shadow Strike is upgraded. Shadow Strike adds this draw a Morbius card for each target, which is very strong. Doesn't look like it can hit anything else, so let's go up here and really capitalize on drawing a bunch of Morbius cards. All right, Quick Claw, perfect. I don't know if we have anything we can take out.
And huge props to our, concept artists and artists who worked on this for making the Hemolisks one of the grossest things.
Yeah.
In Midnight Suns. Do you know, were they an existing Marvel entity, or were those completely concepted for our project?
Don't think so. Yeah.
I don't think so either. I think Vampires of the Y was the brain share of our team.
Yeah. I think the Hemolisk were a Jake Solomon special.
Yeah.
Dreaming up
That feels
the
right.
vampire egg sack. So you can thank him for those.
Yeah.
Yep.
R.I.P.
All right, let's see. Where is everybody? I did not move my heroes well this turn.
Come on,
Because
Joe.
I know.
You got 3 stars on the last one, too.
Oh, I didn't even notice. All right, you know what? All right, I've got 3 heroism.
People pay attention
Let's
to
just chuck a bunch of boxes,
Yeah.
and I think we'll be okay. We've got this Hydra, this turn Mystic standing right next
you
to
got
these
another
throwing
one next to
bolts,
2 of them.
Yep, we got Morbius in on the action here.
Yeah.
He can do the heavy lifting every once in a while. All right.
All right, no more.
So that's a big
no more
threat
Hemolisks.
reduced. Okay, cool. We can get Blade to jump on the Hemolisk here. Doing a decent amount of damage to that.
Nice.
All right. So you were describing before about Morbius's kind of personality. Do you think he has a bit of Jekyll and Hyde personas, or does he kind of always know that he is?
At first, it probably started like that, but once he became more aware of his,
he was blacking out.
yeah, more aware of his issues, then he knows where he is at all times. Which he eventually turns into, what do you call it? More of a vigilante, where it's I'm gonna go and fight crime.
Right,
but I will
only-
get my sustenance from those people who are doing bad things.
Got it.
So the whole point is not to hurt the good people, but the bad people.
Only target
Right.
the
Yeah.
villains and enemies. Okay. Yeah, because he certainly started out
And-
when he was first introduced as a Spider-Man villain, right?
Yes.
He was
Yep.
very much a villain, an enemy, and then became more of kind of an
Yeah,
anti-hero
they
figure.
usually use that, and of course,
Right.
that plays into the whole thing. He has secondary colors originally, and those are always
Oh,
those are always the villains. The heroes always have primary colors, so
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
just like the Hulk.
Right.
The Hulk used to be
I
kind of a
never
villain
realized that.
because he had
That's
the
really
green
cool.
skin and the purple pants.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it turned into that. And then weirdly enough, too, he usually attacks people who are dealing in equipment. So basically, he's taking those people out, and then he's like, "I'm gonna use this stuff for my work." So it's double purpose, right? You take out the bad guys, and then you have extra gear to use for trying to fix your own problems.
Yeah.
We got a question on Twitch from Baby Panda Barbecue. I don't know. I don't know if you're going to know the answer to this question, Joe. But is there a reason why Morbius has so few loved activities and gifts? Is he just picky?
Ooh.
Did you set these?
I
Did
did
the writers
not.
set them? I think
did
probably
not. I
Ben
think
might know.
Ben may know.
Yeah.
Ben
Yeah.
may know. Or we'd have to send a message to Jake and ask.
Yeah.
But no, I think Morbius feels like a pretty picky guy. That was very lucky getting that KO there. All right, I think we can wrap this.
He likes to isolate
Let's see.
for the most part. So
Yeah,
maybe
he feels like he could be a bit of a loner.
So
Yeah.
the answer is that Morbius does not have gifts as his love language. So,
That I think I could believe.
Yeah, hey.
yeah, he prefers quality time.
Yes.
Because if you were going to give anything, he would probably want a sack of blood or something like that.
yeah,
So
that's the
nobody,
kind of gift
nobody
he's
wants to
looking
do
for.
that.
Maybe avoid.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got. All right, so I don't know. Let's see. I might be able to finish this turn. We're doing pretty well.
Fingers crossed.
I think we've just got minions and a Hemolis left. So interesting, we started out the mission, and this is kind of what's neat about the turned Hydra, is you start the mission fighting a bunch of Hydra guys and a mix of vampires, and now at the end, we've only got vampires left because of, you know, the turned Mystic turning their allies into Hemolisks, and then when the turned Elite Hydra are KO'd, they can kind of resurrect as vampires. So it's pretty neat that you can start fighting one set of enemies, and then by the end, you've kind of switched into this totally different set.
You either die a Hydra or you live long
die
enough
a
to
Hydra. Or
see
you live
yourself become a
long enough to become a
vampire.
vampire. Beautiful.
Got to put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. All right. Let's see here. Oh, what was in that
Can you
thing?
close it out?
I have only one card play,
You combo it.
but I don't have a move. Let's see. Venom can reach. Oh, you know what? I might have.
Oh yeah,
There you go.
there you go.
Oh.
Combat
Always
items.
forgetting about the combat items.
Yep.
Gotta
Oh,
remember-
all right.
gotta
Well, I can
remember
talk
those.
about this. I didn't use it, but I can certainly talk about it.
Yeah.
So every hero in the season pass has research projects. They give you an Abbey upgrade and a new combat item. So this is Morbius's Dread Mark. Apply 1 mark to all reinforcements for 2 turns. So it can be very, very powerful. So all of the minions that are running in, you could just immediately put marked on them, or automatically put marked on them if you played this item, and then they are easy KOs. All right, so let's do this.
Mercury Totem.
Mercury Totem. Get a quick card. We can take out this minion, and then we can
combo
take
the
out
Hemolisks?
the Hemolisks. Yeah,
You gonna combo it?
I'll try. I don't actually know if combos work on Hemolisks. Let's see. All right. Oh, Morbius leveled up. This is good.
That's good. That's always a good thing.
Invigorating. All right, yeah, we'll take all this. All right, let's
Yeah.
do it.
Very
Blade,
cool.
Blade and Morbius combo, playing Bleed, taking out the Hemolisks.
You know,
There we go.
strike the Jello.
Those
Oh,
capes.
it's so gross.
It's got that. It's got that.
Yeah, it's
wiggle.
just jiggles. Yeah,
Jiggle, yeah.
and it's gone.
The amount of time that we spent perfecting the jiggle, wiggle animations to make sure you get the proper gross elements of the Hemolis was far too long.
Yeah.
Far too long. All right, let's see. How did I do?
2.
2? You guys did. Oh! You guys did 3. All right.
All right, nice.
Fantastic. All right, so we're 3. Oh,
Oh,
all right.
it's
Yeah,
now
let's do it. I'm gonna go up to ultimate 3 for the last encounter. You know, I kind of made a promise with Deadpool. I will try an ultimate 3 mission every time we do a stream with the season pass heroes. So I have not succeeded yet. My first, actually, I didn't do it with Deadpool. I did an ultimate 1 mission, I think, with Deadpool. Tried last time. It went very poorly with Venom. We got 1 turn in. We're already feeling swarmed. Then a Dread Maiden showed up.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens today.
Yep.
I
Yep.
kind of did my prep and got my heroes, I think, in a good place. We're going to be rolling with Blade and Morbius again. Try to really get all of the mods on the abilities. Working with get Bleeding in there. So we'll see what happens. So I'll get that set up. We'll talk about Morbius's Abbey upgrade in a second here.
I just thought about something cool
Yeah.
with Venom, that he doesn't wear it when he goes through Limbo. It's
Right.
probably because Limbo's got all that fire. It's
Yeah,
not-
that's
it's
true.
Not cool with
That's
that.
true.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
There you
fitting.
go.
Yeah, it's
Fitting.
gotta protect the
Yeah,
protect the symbiote skin.
Yeah.
So
Cool, yeah, so we're going to take a look around the Abbey.
yeah,
right?
so I will just show this off because I'm very proud. I got
that's cool.
Dracula's bride Hunter here with the black leather and the red eyes and hair, so they are ready and feeling a bit vampiric today, along with our friend Dr. Michael.
Yeah, I love how many just totally different iterations of the Hunter I've seen through people
Yeah,
posting on Reddit.
We're
and all
always
that.
very excited to see with our QA department when they're testing the game and would send us saves for testing different bugs and things. Every person always has wildly different hunters, and it really just is super fun to see the depth of the customization options there.
Yeah.
So all right, it looks like Morbius is already down at the forge, which is where I want him to be. Let's see, where is he? I thought he was hanging out. All right, maybe not. Maybe I just missed him. All right, we'll talk about the laboratory in a second. I want to go find him. Where is he?
He's off
No,
brooding.
he is supposed to be down. He is supposed to be down here. Is he just hiding? Oh, there he is. He's just wearing all black, so that's fine.
Blends in.
All right. Oh, apparently you can see the difference between ketchup and blood, so that's useful. All right, so Morbius is Abby upgrade is the laboratory. So this is the tier 2 version of that upgrade. It's a little bit more advanced than the initial version you can get, but this was a really fun upgrade to design. So of course Morbius is very science driven, has a lot of background as a biochemist or biologist, where he's researching his blood disease and disorder. So we wanted to put him in the Forge, get him as close to Doctor Strange and Tony Stark as possible, so that they can start bickering and bantering back and forth and discussing all their science techniques. The laboratory, from a gameplay perspective, is really cool because it lets you directly modify your hero's secondary stats. So this is something that we had a little bit of in the base game, where you can get secondary stat bonuses on heroes through daily sparring and through sometimes the daily quests and requests that heroes will give from you. But this the laboratory now lets you modify them directly. But of course, this is Morbius. He's dealing with all of these the conflicts in himself of fighting his urge and his hunger. Along with these newfound, his powers of being very strong and having these vampiric abilities. So all of the stat projects that you can kind of choose for your heroes here have trade-offs. So you can always opt for increasing one secondary stat, but then there's always going to be a trade-off of a different secondary stat. These projects, refresh every couple days. So you have a way where you can really try to max out and balance and make those trade-offs with your different heroes. So we can do a couple of these now. I know that I'm going on a mission with Morbius and Blade and Wolverine are going to be my 3 heroes that I picked for this Ultimate 3 mission. So Wolverine's going to kind of be my tank. So I want to make sure that he has Fortitude as a secondary stat, which increases block. Sounds like it'll be pretty great for Wolverine. So let's give him that stat. Let's see, what else do we have here? We've got Strength, which is for knockback distance. I think Morbius has a couple knockback abilities, so let's do that for himself. It looks like that will decrease his critical chance slightly, actually pretty significantly, so he won't get a lot of critical strikes on his abilities. I think that trade-off is probably worth it, so let's go ahead and do that modification for him. Let's see if we can find something for Blade here. So we've got Strength, Willpower, recovers health each turn. That's okay, it's not a huge boost. I think I want this critical damage bonus for Blade. And he doesn't have any willpower stat right now, so his willpower will just stay at 0, so that's a pretty easy trade-off. So so every couple days you can see at the bottom there is 3 days until these projects refresh. But the first tier of the laboratory will give you the common and rare projects, and you'll get a couple of those every 3 days. And then if you upgrade it, then you get the epic and legendary level of the stat projects as well. So really fun way to start manipulating the secondary stats of the characters, and really try to kind of get a little bit more onto the min-max side of the equation. So very, very fun. Morbius will hang out here a lot of the time. You'll see him in here late at night, working away hard at his test tubes and vials, hanging out with Tony Stark and Doctor Strange. So that is, that's kind of where his home in the Abbey. All right, so I will get set up here for this next mission.
And we can go ahead and introduce Ben, who has joined us here on
Ben.
stream.
Hey,
You're not Michael.
I appeared out of smoke.
How very vampiric of you.
Top of
Just
the Morbin
appeared.
to y'all.
Hey.
I like that.
Beautiful.
So Ben, you're a writer and you wrote for Morbius and his DLC. Can you talk a little bit about your experience of writing for Morbius?
Yeah, I just went on a rager with bloodlust and went at the keyboard, attacked it, and it just kind of came all out.
I think it came out good then.
Yeah. He was a lot of fun to write. He was, I did Venom previously, and I had a really strong appreciation for Venom going into that. With Morbius, it was kind of the other direction, where I was like, didn't know a whole lot about Morbius. I mean, I was aware of him, but my first introduction to the character was like from the Spider-Man cartoon show in the 90s, and because of I think federal regulations regarding kids' TV shows, they couldn't actually have him suck blood. He couldn't have the teeth, so he had these like suckers on his hands, and that's how he absorbed.
Like little tentacles?
It's much grosser.
It was weird, yeah. Like it kind of looked like like an octopus sucker or something. And he would like drain your energy plasma. how they somehow that was better for
Energy
kids.
plasma.
Yeah,
All right, sure.
Somehow that's better.
All right.
So I just assumed like that was the character growing up. Like
Right.
I didn't even realize he was like actually, had fangs until like much later. So yeah. Anyway, it was fun to like go and approach this character, kind of from a fresh slate and grow in my appreciation of him too, because there's a lot of out there on the internet, people are making fun of Morbius. I don't know if you guys know about this.
I have no idea why.
He has had kind of a bad rep recently.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I think he just needs a movie to turn it around.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
I think that would help.
or a starring appearance in a great
Or-
video
yeah,
game.
Yeah.
We can make that happen.
Yeah, this is he's actually a really cool character. The more I grew to know him, the more I appreciated him. He predates Blade in the comics too, which is kind of an interesting fact. He was like their original, let's get a vampire into our mythos.
Okay.
And they created the living vampire, which
Right.
like what does that even mean? Apparently, it's just like he's a science-based.
He is a vampire, but he also hangs out during the day and
Yeah,
isn't dead.
Yeah, he needs to be able to join everyone on their outings,
Exactly. Yeah, he doesn't love the sun, but he'll tolerate it. So me and him share a lot of similarities, actually.
Yeah.
Only really going out at night.
That's right.
We we haven't talked too much about the overarching narrative of the season pass, but there is one, and there's also a bonus mission which you can play if you purchase the season pass or all 4 DLCs, and you play and complete them. You will get a bonus mission unlocked, which is another mission that you go on, and you get to fight a big bad. And I think we've kind of alluded to the fact that Dracula is part of the season pass.
The Lord of Vampires himself
Yes.
makes
right.
an appearance.
That's right.
Yeah, so he has a little bit to play in Venom storyline, but a bigger appearance with Morbius here. So very fun. You do get to fight him as a boss character in the DLC, which
He's
is
hard. He's a
he's
good
got
challenge,
some.
especially in the Morbius one.
Yeah.
I had a tough time taking him down.
Yeah, it's a really, really fun fight.
Yeah, and their dynamic is sort of, Blade and Morbius represent everything Dracula hates about, these fake vampires, right? So that was such an interesting story to have unfold in our DLC season pass. That was very cool.
Well, and Morbius and Blade don't really get along either.
Yeah.
So there's definitely an antagonism there. That goes back to the comics. They've been hating each other forever.
Right.
But I think Morbius is like, oh man, Blade, he probably sees me as his greatest rival. And that's how we wrote it anyway. And but Blade's just like, no, I hate this guy's a punk. Like I don't.
Right.
But he doesn't see him as like this great. Like it's not like he's Moriarty or anything. It's just like I just don't like that guy.
Nah.
Yeah.
That's very on brand for him.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So what were kind of the most fun aspects to write about Morbius? We actually did one of the Havens where he asks Hunter if they would like to have kids, which we were like, that's a little spicy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was just me working out my own like emotional baggage and trying to figure out like what should I do with my life.
Yeah.
That was fun to write. There was one that was like I wrote it and it seemed fun, but then like, the recording just like made it so much funnier. Where there's a random hangout where Morbius is just hungry, and the Hunter's like, "Man, Morbius, are you doing okay?" He's like, "Nah, I'm just a little on edge because I haven't had any blood in a while." And then he like freaks out because he sees a squirrel or something. And he's like, "I'm gonna get you, squirrel!" And it's just the way that Jake Green recorded it was even funnier than I anticipated when I wrote the thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's just like Morbius just losing his mind. He's like, well,
Yeah.
time to dip into the sack bag.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I love it.
I think it's worth calling out too that Jake Green recorded the VO for both Eddie Brock and for Morbius,
Yeah,
and you
it's
would never
wild.
know that.
Even knowing that, I
Yes.
like, listened to both of them, and it's like I cannot tell that this is the
Yeah,
same guy. He
it's
really
pretty
did an
amazing.
amazing job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in some of those recording sessions. He's like, oh, I'm talking to myself now. And he was really excited.
Switch back and forth between
There
the
was
voices.
one recording session in particular where he's like, I want to try it. I want to like do it where I actually go back and forth in the recording. And we
That's
recorded it where he did both of them back to back,
That's really cool.
where he was literally talking to himself.
That's very impressive.
And for a good reason, for a change.
Yeah. Other than all those, those usual normal reasons. do you want to? Can you go into a little bit of detail about what Morbius's kind of story arc is specifically? Like, what is? We kind of saw the inciting incident at the cinematic at the beginning, where Blade and Spider-Man show up because they get kind of a signal that some vampires are showing up in New York. So what is Morbius's kind of like motivation to get involved in the story and join the roster? Yeah,
the vampires with the Y, these new breed of vampires, they come and steal his stuff. He set up his lab in the sewers somewhere because that's the level of funding he has these days. I think that's the best.
Struggling a bit.
Yeah.
Hasn't been publishing recently, I guess.
No.
Right.
Yeah, they took away his what is it? His Nobel Prize. He actually has a Nobel Prize in the comics.
Really?
Which is kind of funny.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway,
Very cool.
he's set up his lab, but the vampires come and invade it, and they steal his information because he's been working on a serum that can cure vampirism, which is something he's been, that goes
Trying to
back to
do.
his comics. Like,
Yeah, sure.
I did this to
He's
myself.
always trying to cure himself of
Yeah.
his disease and go back to.
I'm a monster.
Yep.
I made myself more of a monster. How do I cure myself? And so he's tinkering away on that, something that can like cure vampire. And they come and steal that because they want to use it to cure them of their weakness to sunlight. So it's like a sunlight serum is what it becomes.
Okay.
So they take his serum, and then it's a race to be like, okay, well now there's these vampires out there. They're gonna use my serum, and then
Right, that would
they'll
be
be
very
immune to
bad
sunlight.
if
Yeah,
they could just
exactly.
show up in the daytime and.
Right.
Interesting. Okay.
So,
All right,
Daywalker
that
in
sounds
a
like a
bottle.
pretty big threat, and Blade is probably pretty jealous. He doesn't want any other Daywalkers running around.
Yeah.
He's gotta
Jealous
put a
is
stop
one
to
way to
that.
put it. I think he's upset, to put it mildly. Yeah. It's
Mildly peeved.
mildly peeved. Yeah, that's how I would describe Blade. Not to his
At all
face,
times.
but
Right, of course. No, it's like-
yeah. Yeah, it was fun to write those two. There's like scenes where you bring Morbius back for the first time,
Right.
and everybody's kind of like, "Yeah, I think this is a bad idea."
Yeah,
and
there's
Blade's
a
like,
vampire. He's in the Abbey right now. What are we doing?
Blade's like, "We got to clean up this mess," and I guess this is the guy with the mop. We'll take him, but
Okay.
I want to put it on record. I don't like this idea. Like that's Blade's stance.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
if anything goes wrong, I'm just right now. I told you so.
How would you say Morbius's character arc is different from, or like his growth over the story that you wrote than Venom?
Yeah, that's good. Venom was fun to write because Eddie's kind of like a dumb jock type character, and it's really about. But he really has a good heart, and he's really like, I just want to like help and save people ultimately, and also I'm like seeking redemption because I know I did all this bad stuff. Where Morbius, I wouldn't say he's like super smart, but I wouldn't say he's like very emotionally intelligent. Let's say he's very like conceited and arrogant, and I think he would say like, yeah, I've done bad things, but also like, I don't think he feels necessarily super bad about some of the stuff he's done, and also I don't think he's aware of how the way he's hurt some people. So he's very arrogant about that, but he still ultimately does want to like. He knows vampires are bad, and he knows he wants to put them to a stop. So it was fun to approach that character from a different angle, because Morbius is, like I said, arrogant. I kind of approached it like he's like an emo Fraser Crane, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He's, especially if you listen to some of his dialogue, he's so self-conceited, and that's where a lot of the humor comes from.
Yeah.
With him. So he was fun to write because a lot of heroes are very noble, and Morbius isn't, I wouldn't call him noble per se, even though he does want to do some good things. He ultimately does want to use his power for good, but he's very conceited about it.
Yeah. How's your mission going here, Joe?
All right. I'm being a little quieter because I'm trying to focus
yeah.
on this.
No
to
problem.
think.
No
Trying
problem.
to think. This is
This is your
the
ultimate
summoning.
3?
It is the ultimate 3 mission. Yeah.
Okay.
So the summoning circle missions are tricky because these mystics are currently summoning reinforcements every turn, and if I attack them, that will complete my objective to stop the summoning circle. But then they will start attacking me. So I've already got 2 mystics out here attacking me. I've got this shield guard that I want to take care of. So I'm trying to mitigate my risks here before releasing the rest of these mystics. So I think I'm doing okay.
We did confirm in a prior stream that every level or mission is beatable on Ultimate 3, right? We do test for that.
This has not been tested.
Well, this is a general mission, right?
This is a general mission.
But all of our
yes.
narrative missions, like for sure, you
Yes.
can beat.
Yes.
on
Oh yeah.
Ultimate
You
3.
can beat the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can absolutely beat the game on Ultimate 3. Message Chris Odd. Look him up on YouTube. He did like multiple campaigns running on Ultimate 3, which is nuts.
That's impressive.
But yes, you absolutely can beat it. It certainly takes a lot of thought and care and kind of planning to.
Yeah, probably a bit of luck as well
And a
to
bit
get
of-
good
yeah.
rolls for cards.
True.
And
So I trying to go in with very
yeah.
kind of carefully crafted and optimized decks, trying to to give myself the best chance at success here. So I do have Morbius's Midnight Sun ability here, and I think that is just enough to take out this Mystic. So I think I might just go ahead and do that to take that threat off of the board and then go from there. But yeah, so Morbius's Midnight Sun, we wanted to get him into just recreate some of the classic poses and movement that you see from his comics. So really get him kind of up high, diving down onto a target, fangs bared. So that was kind of where we came up with the ideas for this. Of course, still integrated. Yeah, you gotta dive head first. Do these very cool, vampire dashes across the enemy. A lot of like interesting fast slash movements. You'll see something similar with Dracula. Actually has a pretty similar ability. So a lot of comparisons between Blade and Dracula and Morbius there, which has been fun to see.
You see something similar whenever I eat a pizza as well.
Yeah, lots of
I
fast movements.
dive in head
head
first.
first. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think when players go and play play through the narrative missions for Morbius and see all the cinematics, he does a lot of this in the cinematics as well, where he sort of swoops in from above and
Right.
takes out the enemy, which I think is always super fun to watch. Ben, I'm interested, as Morbius and the Hunter get closer in friendship, how does their relationship grow, and what is that dynamic like?
Yeah, you can. Oh no!
I made a mistake. It was the first move I made that I was like, definitely. Oh no. Okay, wait.
Don't second guess yourself, man.
I guess that
You got this.
Okay, that was fine. I thought it was so. The card I just played had an effect. If the target is bleeding, it should be quick. But I didn't think it was bleeding. I didn't think the Shadow Hand was bleeding. But it gave me. I think it gave me the card play back anyway. Oh well, that's fine.
Well, congrats.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Hunter and Morbius
Carry on.
can be friends, just like any other character.
Yeah.
You can also choose not to befriend Morbius. Like that was something we planned for, where the Hunter is used to fighting things like vampires and other
Yeah.
monsters. So naturally, she should be a little wary of a vampire coming into her house. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. Why are we letting a vampire in here? And you can see that in the intro cinematic. So if you decide, I want to stick with that, you can play through the whole game and be kind of antagonistic towards Morbius. Yeah. And that's kind of a fun way to do it. But also, if you do want to befriend him, because there's good reasons to befriend him, good perks you get as you level up his friendship.
Yeah, I talked a little bit earlier about how his passive becomes much stronger.
Yeah.
As you level up your friendship with him. So the Morbius on this mission, of course, fully powered up, all of his abilities, does have the tier 2 level of his hunger, greater hunger passive. So
Right.
definitely using every advantage I have here.
Yeah, he's not the kind of character that makes a ton of friends, and you definitely see that in the game where Spider-Man's the opposite, where he kind of wants to be friends with everybody, and so Spider-Man's kind of like trying to be Morbius's friend and trying to be like, hey, I believe in you, man, let's do this, and Morbius is like, yeah, I don't know, but with the Hunter, if you can get to the place where like, all right, Hunter, I think you're the only person that really understands me, and you're really kind of my only friend here. And like, there's some kind of sweet moments between the two of them.
I don't know if Harrow's in for it. Okay.
How you doing, Joe? Where you at?
All right. We're doing pretty well. We'll see how this enemy turn goes. I think. Let's see. I don't have any card plays. Do I want to redraw anything here? I think I don't. I might not want this combo. So all my heroes are at pretty full health right now. I have this Mystic is a little bit concerning, although the Shield Guard and the Mystic are both targeting Wolverine. So I'm hoping that he'll be able to survive. You know what? I think I'm going to redraw this because I think that might heal. Yep, that'll heal Wolverine a little bit just to get him to as full health as possible.
Nice.
I think you're doing good, man.
We'll see. Yeah, I think I have one turn left before the Mystic summons something very scary and terrible out of that portal, which I don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
So
My in-laws?
at a certain point, yes, absolutely, yeah, that is it. We put them in the game, just demonic in-laws popping out of hell summoning portals.
Yeah, I know you guys were showing off the Abbey earlier, and you showed off Morbius's little
Yeah, the
desk
little, like,
area.
laboratory. Yep.
Yeah, we wrote a bunch of dialogue. You know, that when you're down there with Strange and Tony, like there's
Yeah.
a lot of banter between the two of them.
Right.
And we wrote a lot of extra banter lines with where Morbius is in the mix.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
there's like the
Yeah.
three of them all talk to each other, which is a lot of fun.
Right. So what does Morbius think of Stark and Strange? Does he like respect them, or does he think that they're like, you know, amateurs, or?
It's kind of like the other way around, where it's like you can tell that Stark and Strange are like kind of looking down on him a little bit, or maybe
Okay.
kind of like Tony Stark kind of looks down on everybody, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's a very Tony thing.
that's not unusual, and I think Strange is just kind of like head in the clouds, like not aware of Morbius half the time. There's
Okay.
actually a dialogue like that where Tony is egging Morbius on. Is like, hey, when did you get in, Morbius? And it's like, I've been here all day. Like, what do you mean?
I've literally been here the whole time.
And then you can tell that Tony's egging him on. He's like,
Oh, okay.
like, no, I don't think so. It's like, you like handed me your coffee cup when you said hi when you came in. And it's like, I don't know, I think I'd remember that. And then Strange is like, oh, Morbius, when did you get in? But it's kind of more from an earnest place. Like he's been so tuned out, he didn't even realize
Got it.
Morbius was there.
That's pretty funny.
So it's a lot of Morbius. Really, it's like, hey, I'm at the big kids table. Like, let me play. And
Okay.
He's
kind of
relegated
They're
over
trying
to
to
the
deal
corner.
with like these two, you know, egos.
right, he kind of feels like he's not getting his due.
Got it.
Right. Yeah, and Strange and Stark kind of build their own little, you know, their own relationship over the course of the game. So maybe he's just feeling a little left out, you
That's
know?
right.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, so there's if you played the game before, there's a lot of the conversations between Stark and Strange. So there's original conversations we wrote between the three of them, but then there's also a bunch of conversations that were between Stark and Strange where we interjected, and Morbius kind of interrupts that conversation
awesome.
halfway through, and then that diverges the conversation in a new direction. So, you know, if you get Morbius, look out for those.
That's really cool.
Awesome. I'm curious, how much research did you have to do into like the biology and the science to? I know a lot
Like
of
how many
Morbius's.
bats did I?
Yeah,
eat?
yeah. Did you grow any weird like echolocation, you know, sensors and or
Nothing
senses
this
anything?
week.
But no, okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right. This week, that's good to hear. I'm glad you're recovering. But no, a lot of the conversations that Hunter has with Morbius, Morbius goes pretty deep in spouting kind of very scientific,
Yeah.
you know, dialogues about his research and his, you know, blood transfusions and studies. So what was your kind of approach for going deep on the science?
I mean, I
side
did
of
a
things?
little bit of research, but it's also, you know, comic book science, which is kind of magical. So as long as it sounds good, you know. not to, I mean, not to surprise anybody, but yeah, this
Yeah.
stuff's all made up. But
We should have put a disclaimer at the
Disclaimer,
bottom. Not
yeah.
medical advice, okay? Please
But
do not do this.
But I also think it's best when things at least sound right. So I tried to research. You know, he's a scientist, so like, what is blood composed of? Like, there's a moment where they're talking about Spider-Man's blood because Spider-Man has special. His blood has special properties, and
Right.
And Morbius is talking about like his blood's actually pretty cool, and just like the heme of his blood, and trying to talk. Like, okay, I had to research like what is blood made of, and
Right.
sometimes you go deep in the rabbit hole and you're like, whoa, and then you come out of it and you're like, did that help me? Like, did I learn anything that I actually need to include in here?
Now I just
Because it
know
sounds
facts.
better if I don't, you know, spout off for 2 paragraphs about what blood is made out of. So look forward to that DLC somewhere down the road.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah.
But it was fun to go back and read old Morbius comics too, and him and Blade's relationship and their antagonism. Well, I think we said already that Morbius predates Blade, but also I don't know if Cody talked about it, but in the comics, Blade wasn't originally half vampire. He was just sort of a vampire hunter, and it was Morbius's bite that actually sort of unlocked Blade's
Right.
half vampire powers.
And I think
I
we
think they
talk about
refer to
that, yeah, in the
yeah,
game.
Because I think there's a dialogue where Morbius is like, oh, like let me tell you about the first time I met Blade, and then you can kind of go ask Blade for the
Yeah.
same story. And
Yeah, so that
Go
was
back and forth.
exactly, that was a reference to that comic book where that happens.
really cool.
But we tried to because they've retconned it in the comics where it's like, for a while that was the case. And then I think they retconned it, so now Blade was technically always been half vampire.
Got it.
So Morbius is like, yeah, don't talk to him about that. He's like touchy on the subject, so it's just kind of like,
Yeah, it's a funny nod. Yeah, to that backstory. Okay, I think I survived another turn here. We've
2
got
turns remaining.
2 turns remaining, so I've got this shield guard is definitely a problem, but he has a bunch of bleeding on him. So I know next turn, and Morbius still has bloodlust, so next turn I should be able to try and capitalize, or hopefully take him out with some bleed abilities. And I think next turn I have to break these mystics out of the summoning circle, but they're my only enemies left. They'll summon some Shadowhounds out of the portal, but that's okay. And I also have Glaive in my hand. So I think next turn I can set Glaive off and hopefully get everything bleeding and then close it out. So fingers crossed.
All right.
It might happen.
We're rooting for you. That's right. We need to bring back the what was
Oh, gosh,
it? Like
is
support Joe.
Believe in Joe.
Yeah, hashtag believe in Joe. Throw it in the chat. We need the energy. We need
A lot of
the
focus
support.
here, chat.
That's right. Yeah, we're all very
Getting there,
focused.
getting there. All right. Oh, right, because the explosion went off in the shield guard, so that knocked out one of the mystics. So we've got 1 mystic left. Ooh, we drew Midnight Special as well. All right, last turn to disrupt the summoning ritual. That's okay. I should be able to hit this mystic. All right, so let's. Where did that other?
Ben, I've
What are
been
you doing
alerted
tonight, Mystic?
that
Oh, the Mystic
chat
is
would
right
like you
here.
to know that you have a future in stand-up comedy.
A future.
That's
All
right.
Or past.
Or
past.
past or present.
I did do stand-up once. It was an open mic night, but yeah.
How'd it go?
Yeah.
That's why I'm here. I gotta be on stage. It went all right. Yeah, it was fun.
Can I hit both?
I was tired of making all that money, and so I was like,
Right,
"I'll
of
do that."
course. Of course, you're like video game writing. That's
tired.
that's
That's
the
real.
future. Do you think that it's easy for you then to write like comedic characters?
Interesting question. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't know that makes it easier because I did stand up one time, but
No, being a funny person, you know.
I think. Well, what's funny is I wouldn't say Morbius or Eddie are inherently like funny.
No,
characters,
they don't think they're funny.
Which
right?
is interesting.
Yeah.
Like, and so that's like sometimes it's hard. Like, okay, it's easy to make a dumb pun sometimes, but you don't want to just like have a bunch of puns, unless maybe you're writing Spider-Man. I don't know, but it's more funny to me to like, what are the scenarios that are funny? And because Morbius is so arrogant, so like, what's funny about an arrogant person? You know, they always think they're the best, and so like, there's inherently funny scenarios that come out of that. That's how I would approach it anyway.
Yeah.
We got Glaive off here, which is Blaine's Midnight Sun ability, so
Very cool.
get a bunch of bleed. All right, and this shield guard is vulnerable now.
That looks so good with the outfit too. Do you know what
Yeah.
that skin is?
So all of the heroes in this mission are wearing their Midnight Sun suits, but
Okay.
they have different palettes applied. So
Got it.
so Blade has this kind of rose-colored red palette on his. Morbius is using his just his traditional Midnight Sun suit, so he's got the black and gold, and then Wolverine is using a kind of a silver, a black and silver.
Are there birthday suits still in the game?
Their birthday suits. I mean, they have swimsuits.
Oh.
They definitely still have swimsuits. So Morbius does have swimsuits. It is a little weird seeing him like hanging out poolside and lounging,
Yeah.
but he does have his like purple trunks that you can get him in.
I think if you like intentionally hang out with him there, I think there's a line I wrote where like, I didn't like that, or just something just straight up like,
you could choose.
no,
like, hang
I
out
do
with him
not
by the
want to
water.
hang out
like,
there.
No, please do not hang out
Let's
with
not
me
do that again.
Yeah.
in the sun, in the broad daylight. All right, this. I have 2 card plays left. All right, we're just gonna stack up bleeding on this mystic. I'm feeling pretty good about this right now. We've got 1 mystic left. Oh, that was a lot of debuffs. That's nice to see. All right, so this mystic. Oh, the mystic has marked now as well. Can Wolverine? Let's see.
There's so many,
No, that's
so
not gonna be enough.
many
I know. I still
effects
want-
applied to this Hydra.
I know. And then, all right.
Are there people in the chat who have played Morbius already? Like, I'm curious to know what people.
Yeah.
We know what they thought of him. Yeah, that's true. Because Morbius has been out for the last like
2 or 3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Let's see, is Morbius does not have counter. Okay, so I'm gonna play. Mistform is really, really strong. If Morbius was in danger, this is a great card to protect him for a turn, especially when you're in Bloodlust. I think I'm gonna play Cornered instead because both of the Shadow Hounds are targeting him right now, and this will give him counter, so I don't have to worry about attacking them.
There you go.
It will also give me the last attack play, which I think was a quick strike. Yes, okay. Well, I'm out of card plays now anyway, so can't do that.
We have a couple iterations of vampires in our game, and I know some of the vampires can turn into bats. Now, Morbius never turns into bats, right?
I don't
Not in our
think,
game.
not in our game,
No,
and I
no.
don't think in the
Okay.
comics I've ever seen that. He does glide. Well, that's the thing. Is he can't
Yeah.
really fly,
Right.
but
Right.
like, I mean,
His
technically,
suit had those little like webby,
Yeah, his tiny
webby
little
things in it.
wings.
Right. but he can't glide. And isn't that a thing with bats? Like they glide more than they really fly. Isn't that a thing?
I don't know,
You
you're
don't
doing
talk
the
about
research.
But they
then.
can't. I know bats
They
can't.
can flap. They can certainly like flap to sustain themselves, I think.
I should try that.
Yeah.
No, I just know like bats can't launch from the ground into the air like birds
That makes
can.
sense.
They have to like kind of be up
Drop.
high and drop and then fly. So I think that's kind of the idea with Morbius. He can glide more so than he can't like launch himself up in the air and fly somewhere.
Right. Okay. All right, so we've got some counterattacks here. Take out the Shadow Hounds. Let's go, Morbius.
Nice.
All right.
Easy
Still
KO.
Bloodlust.
So do you think this is it, Joe? You think this is the one you're gonna win?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
There's still time for us to jump on him and
There's
grab him.
That's
all
right.
out of the way. All right.
Make some terrible moves. Yeah, this is where we actually switch it over to Twitch plays Marvel's
Mars Midnight
Suns.
Suns and just
Yeah.
somehow find a way
Yeah.
to disrupt this.
I do
Okay.
hope somebody like figures out a way to do that someday. I want to see
Twitch
it.
plays Midnight Suns.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't
that'd
know.
be amazing. That would be true. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, we need that Twitch integration. you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. All right, let's see if we can finish this out with a combo here.
You guys have a favorite DLC character so far?
Personally, I am very partial to Venom. I did a lot of Venom's design work, so I think he's really, really fun. But Morbius is great too. I love that. Like we were saying before, Morbius has gotten a bad rap recently, and
Yeah.
I feel like he's definitely the least known of the characters that we have in our season pass.
Yeah.
So being able to give him, really a chance to shine, step into the spotlight, so to speak. Not the bright, solar ray
Not the real
spotlight,
one.
not the real one, but step in the spotlight. It's been great to kind of be able to put our spin on him. So.
Yeah, it was definitely an approach to like, not that we approached it this way, but like let's redeem Morbius a little bit. It just feels like this character is actually cooler than I think a lot of people give him credit for, because he is kind of a joke online.
Yeah.
But there's actually a reason he's been a mainstay in comics for
Right,
what,
a very
50
long
years
time.
now?
And
Yeah.
it's shown up in so many different characters'
Right.
stories. So, all right.
This is
I
it.
think this is it.
All right.
Finish it off with a combo. Very appropriate here.
There it is. Proof that Ultimate 3 can be
Can
beaten.
be beaten. Succeeded. I will make one more attempt, but I feel much better knowing that
There you go,
I
yeah.
succeeded
It's
this
doable.
time.
Yeah.
So we'll try it again with Storm and see how that goes. We'll round out the season pass. But this is a very, very sweet
It's a momentous
victory.
day. What do you think
It is a
your
momentous
rating's gonna
day.
be? Whoa!
3 stars too. Oh,
my
all right,
goodness.
I'm not
This is a good
expecting
way
that.
to. Yeah, you need to just like
Wow.
disappear from the next live streams and
I
just
know.
end it on a high.
Yeah, this really is it. All right, yeah, you can do the next one without me.
There you go.
Fantastic.
Very cool. So yeah, as you've
All right.
seen, Morbius, he's out now, as well as our season pass, which you can purchase, and our last season pass character will be coming soon.
Soon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's soon.
Stay
PM.
tuned. Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay
soon,
tuned.
soon TM. big
Yeah, that's
letters.
right.
There's
That's
a storm
right.
coming.
There's a storm brewing.
Yeah, so we'll take a couple questions before we wrap up. In the meantime, I'll just do a couple of announcements. So again, the Webby Award, we're nominated for a Webby Award for the Darkness Falls trailer. So head on over there and please give us a vote and support us so that we can. I would love to win that. That'd be awesome.
That'd be amazing. No, It's
Yeah.
a fantastic trailer. Really, really proud of it.
Yeah, as always.
Got everyone super excited about the game, both internally at the studio and all of you. So Yeah, definitely. I think deserves some recognition there. Which
Yeah.
is great.
Absolutely. Yep, and follow us on our social media channels so you know when we're going to be doing our next developer live stream. We've got at least one more.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
For
Showing
Storm.
off Storm.
Yeah,
Be
very excited for that.
Electrifying.
I think no spoilers, but she might be my favorite season pass character.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Very excited.
Really
to
great
show
story.
her.
I do like, I won't say anything, but I do like the way she functions in battle. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, she's got
Yeah.
a pretty unique mechanic.
Yeah, we're just dropping some foreshadowing.
Yeah, so stay tuned.
That's right. Yeah, you can go purchase the season pass.
Yeah.
All right.
We have a couple more questions, or
I don't know.
anything else we wrap up? No.
All right, we don't have any questions at the
Okay,
moment, so
cool.
maybe we'll
Well,
just go ahead and wrap up.
great.
But yeah, thank
Hey.
you all so much for joining us. Again, I'm Rachel Sema, Ben Reeves, writer on Marvel's Midnight Suns,
my name.
and
And I'm
Joe
Joe
Weinhofer.
Weinhofer. Thanks everyone for joining us. Hope you had a good time, and we will see you soon.